And welcome to our community. Susie Thomas here with you this morning. We are visiting with Marissa Lotzenheiser. She is from Camp Watershed. Good morning.
Good morning.
Marissa, first of all, it's always fun because it's camp time. I think a lot of moms and dads are saying hallelujah and always looking for fun things to keep the kids occupied and entertained and educated and engaged while the summer months are happening. So help us get those kids off the couch and away from the video games. And what do you have to offer at Camp Watershed?
Sure. Well, that is one of the main reasons we started Camp Watershed. We realized that the summertime has a lot of potential to be a fantastic opportunity for kids to get outside and explore nature, but that takes scheduling and organizing, and that's not something that parents always have the time to do. So working with a nonprofit called Rural Action, we started our Camp Watershed. It's a daily 1 week summer camp for kids ages 8 to 12. Our goal is to get them so excited about being outside they don't want to even look at screens for that week.
Oh, how nice. Yeah, you could be calling them in and they're saying, no, 5 minutes more. How long has Camp Watershed been in existence?
This will be our 4th year of
Wonderful.
Camp Watershed. We do a lot during the April and May months, working with schools to host field trips as part of our education and outreach. And we realize that summertime is another time when we need to do education and outreach. So our summer camp, our Camp Watershed, really developed out of a need for us to reach more kids for a longer time period. You know, working with the same children for 5 days in a row, you can impart a lot more knowledge than just working with one child for a 30-minute science class.
Do you have a marketing background?
I don't. I somewhat, I guess. I have a degree in political science as well as biology. So I learned early on that communicating has to be done if you want to get anything else.
Oh, well, hats off to you because that was a brilliant move. Go into the schools and do a little commercial for summer camp with every single school child that you can reach during the month of April. That was really smart on your part. So first of all, what did the field trips look like and how do they differ from what children will experience when they're camping?
Sure. The field trips we do with over 8 local school districts, and it really depends on the needs of the school districts. We focus on 5th grade as our ideal time frame because that is when our educational curriculum fits in with what the teachers are supposed to be teaching.
So content-wise, they're starting to study that in school, and then they get to experience it for themselves.
Exactly. They're learning about the water cycle and about earth tectonics and all of these things that really shape concrete understandings of watersheds. So we come in, we teach the watershed concept, and then the best part, the second day, we take kids out. They come to our sites where we have streams and we have pools, and they're able to look for fish and macroinvertebrates and really develop that appreciation of nature and that awe that we hope stays with them their whole life.
Let me back up just a little bit. Help us understand the watershed concept.
Sure, it's something that not even a lot of adults sometimes have a firm grasp on. Everyone lives in a watershed. A watershed is an area of land where all of the water drains to the same low point. So think of it, it's easier to define where there's mountains and valleys because that means when it rains, all the rain falls down and collects in one valley. That then connects to another stream and another river. So right now here in Canton, Ohio, we are in the Ohio River Basin. When it rains, all of our water goes to the Tuscarawas River. The Tuscarawas River then goes to the Muskingum, and the Muskingum flows into the Ohio River. So understanding watersheds helps us understand our place in the world. Our actions have consequences on the water and on all of people who live downstream of us.
What about people who forget that and dispose of things that we know can get into groundwater. Can we get into that? Is that a dangerous thing? What should we do instead?
Sure. Well, the vast majority of my job as a watershed coordinator is helping restore waterways, as well as helping educate people about the consequences of their actions. So we really try to drive home that no matter how small, our actions do have consequences. So if you are a homeowner, understanding, leaving a 5-foot strip of grass that you don't mow right up to the stream in your backyard, that will help filter off pollutants when you wash your car in the driveway or change your oil. That grass helps capture and filter out those pollutants before they reach the stream. So then that's coming off of your little piece of land to flow down and affect everyone else.
I love this. I learn something new every day. Never knew that.
Yeah.
What about if you're spraying that grass with something to keep the weeds away?
Which is a thing that a lot of landowners do. That is their personal option to maintain their lawn. Again, our advice is to always leave that buffer zone. We call it a riparian zone. The 5 or so feet between your lawn and a stream or a creek, that if you leave that 5 feet unmowed and unsprayed, that really will help not just the people downstream, but the immediate water quality. We are seeing a lot of news about harmful algal blooms up in Lake Erie. A lot of people don't realize the Ohio River, 600 miles of that turned pink last summer from all of the nutrients that were going into the Ohio River. So we have the same problems that Lake Erie has on the Ohio River. And that is where our water here in Canton, Ohio drains to. So leaving those little buffer strips, leaving those little filter strips really helps. It empowers the landowners to take care of the creation all around them.
It's fascinating. I remember hearing somewhere, and help me understand, that watery areas, marshy areas, are always trying to turn back into land. So things are growing, things are always trying to fill that in. This is true?
Somewhat, yeah.
So how does a person restore waterways? You have quite a job description.
It like you said, it is something new every single day. We spend a lot of time actually creating wetlands, which are the technical term for what most people refer to as swamps or marshes.
Creating wetlands?
Creating wetlands or enhancing them, because wetlands act as a sort of sponge, right? They are like that riparian zone on steroids. The more area that we have wetlands, the types of plants that have adapted to live there, like cattails and rushes, those plants actually can thrive in somewhat polluted areas. So their roots can soak up pollutants, can filter out pollutants, so that if the water runs through those wetlands before it reaches a stream, it is almost always better water quality when it reaches the stream versus if it goes straight through. And a lot of wetlands are really areas where the water table is just very close to the surface of the ground. So we spend a lot of time actually creating or enhancing wetlands to get that filtration.
How in the world does a person go about creating this?
Well, not without a lot of paperwork. A lot of my time is spent working with agencies and organizations, because once you start messing with water, it can get a little tricky. But we a lot of times are working in areas that have been historically coal mined before regulations. So these wetlands pop up because there's a lot of water anyways. So we can work with excavators that have special equipment that run on canola oil instead of diesel gas, so that way if there is a spill in the wetland, there's no concern about contamination. We can work with these excavators, these contractors, to put in buffer limestone. I hesitate to say dams. They're limestone hills.
Okay.
So that the water can flow in a certain way and just spend longer in that area of land.
So it's way more than you standing there with a garden hose trying to just wet everything down.
Yeah.
Way more involved.
We don't water any. A lot of times we are just enhancing what already wants to be there. Right. A lot of times our land use is kind of playing tug of war war with Mother Nature. So we are just helping find that better balance between using the land properly and making sure that it is doing its job, here on Earth.
Is this considered public property? Can anyone go visit these? Because I know Jackson has a cool bog near the high school that's always fun to walk around. But then also near my church, I think there's an area that says, don't go in here. This is a conservatory and it's got to stay just like this.
Yep.
So what are we allowed to do and not allowed to do when it comes to these areas?
The best way to check is just to look on, usually your county website has maps. Most all of the property that we work on actually is privately owned. So we have to get landowner permissions to go on and to work on them. But we also have a lot of great examples of public wetlands and public bogs. Like you said, Jackson Bog is a great example. And I'm guessing, and this is purely a guess, when you do see some fencing or some signage to stay out of a conservation area, these are very sensitive places. We have species of ferns found around here that are found nowhere else in the whole country.
That's amazing.
So some of these wetland areas have to be set aside because if people were walking around viewing wildlife, you have the chance that you might damage some of it too.
And I'm guessing that means you're not allowed to pick them and take them home and put them in
your backyard.
Right.
We try to say leave only footprints and take only pictures.
Oh, that's a good saying. All right. We're speaking with Marissa Lotzenheiser. She's from Camp Watershed, learning lots this morning. So school children are kind of getting a little bit of head knowledge about this. Then they meet you, and then they think, oh, this would be really fun to kind of see this for myself. So when you go visit, do they come to you in April or you go visit classrooms?
So it is a little bit of both. I'm lucky to have a staff of 4 great AmeriCorps members. AmeriCorps is like a domestic Peace Corps. Young people normally, but it can be people of any age, sign up to serve a 1-year term where they work in impoverished areas in the United States instead of serving 3 years abroad. So Tuscarawas County has 4 AmeriCorps members who are helping us restore these streams that are polluted. And part of their job is to go into the schools and educate the children about watersheds. So they really do the grunt work of getting in the schools. We go to them usually 1 to 2 days in class, and then directly following those in-class instructions, they come out. We've arranged, again, it's all private property, but we have some wonderful landowners in Tuscarawas County that let us bring busloads of kids out so that after having 2 days of kind of the boring in-class, they get to jump in a creek and experience it hands-on. Oh. So I think that is the part that really drives home that message of creation care and drives home that message of everyone has a role to play. You can touch the fish, but don't squeeze them too much. Mm-hmm. You can play in the creek, and maybe you won't throw your water bottle into one the next time you are hiking in the woods.
Well, I think even Lake Cable kids learned that kind of a thing. I imagine that this really seems funny to a child growing up in Holmes or Tuscarawas County, that they're used to swimming in a creek. And for that to be something special for a child to get to come experience must seem kind of funny. Do you see cause and effect between impoverished areas and pollution?
So there are a lot of studies and a lot of theories around that question.
Why?
It's a really great question. What we've seen is, and you can kind of look at the Appalachian region overall. Rural Action, the nonprofit that I work with, is chartered to work throughout Appalachian, Ohio. So we have offices down in Athens County and Perry County, as well as Tuscarawas County. We see the extraction that is happening and has happened in the Appalachian Mountain region of the entire United States, kind of closely aligning the extraction that happens in places like Africa or the South Asia. We have a lot of this natural wealth. We have coal and we have timber and we have oil and gas and natural gas.
Lots of water.
Lots and lots and lots of water, which is hard to put a price tag on clean water.
Exactly.
So these things have been extracted historically for as long as, settling has happened here. But just because we have that natural wealth, that doesn't always equate to monetary wealth. So some of our poorest regions, when you look at West Virginia, Kentucky, the coal fields of even Ohio, do not have those financial resources then to pass on to their citizens. So we do see a correlation between where there is extractive industries, there's not always that investment back in the communities that provide the natural resource.
Okay, we're going to get right back to that because I've got a follow-up question, but we need to take a break. So we're going to be back with Marissa after these words. You're listening to Our Community.